I would certainly agree with that. It's by no means a criticism of the UK, but certainly here, one of the big differences that all the British people that I speak to, they all say the same thing, which is in America, everyone wants to get behind you.
Once again, Prince Harry discovers the hard way that borrowed prestige doesn't translate to admiration. Appearing at the 2025 Upfront Summit in Los Angeles, he stepped on stage, only to be met with a chilling silence. No cheers, no clapping. Just an uncomfortable stillness that revealed a deeper, more unsettling truth. Harry's influence has faded. Once celebrated as a rebellious, royal challenging tradition, the Duke of Sussex now appears increasingly irrelevant in the eyes of the public.
Is to see me up here, perhaps wondering which of the plethora of issues consuming the world today that I'm going to talk about. Well, I don't have that long, and I know that Mark wants to quiz me after, so I'll keep this important topic brief.
You're probably wondering what topic I'll cover out of the many problems plaguing the world today, Harry began. Well, time is short, and I know Mark has questions lined up, so I'll keep it brief. That intro landed with all the enthusiasm of a corporate voicemail. What followed was a speech made up of vague statements and familiar laments. And the crowd? Unmoved. The silence said more than applause ever could. No one's listening anymore. Multiple attendees confirmed the awkward moment. After concluding his remarks, Harry paused, perhaps expecting a reaction. But none came. Not a standing ovation. Not a single polite clap. Not even the telltale coughs that fill uncomfortable silences.
Talk about something that I believe will resonate with all of you as leaders, as creators, builders, and changemakers. How do we invest in our shared future to solve the challenges we face today?
A Business Insider tech journalist tweeted, "Harry just wrapped his speech. No reaction. I've never seen a summit audience freeze like that." Another attendee wrote on LinkedIn, calling the scene painfully still, adding that the room felt frozen in disbelief. This wasn't a technical glitch. It was the authentic response of a room full of professionals, people not buying what Harry was offering. And that leads us to the real issue, the content of the speech. Instead of tailoring his message to an audience focused on innovation and
the way that I answer the question of how we invest in our shared future is different now living in the US to when I was living in the UK. Why? Well, because before I moved, so much of my life revolved around charity.
Entrepreneurship. Harry recycled his greatest hits, his royal struggles, the hostile press, and mental health advocacy. Important topics, no doubt, but ones he's rehashed repeatedly. With Oprah, in Spare, on Netflix, in podcasts, and at almost every public event since 2020, even supporters are tuning out. According to some attendees, large portions of the speech echoed past interviews almost word for word. Whether due to carelessness or delusion, the result was the same: detachment. The Upfront Summit is about forward-thinking leadership, not recycled memoir material. While other speakers pitched bold ideas in AI and venture capital, Harry delivered a well-worn monologue about feeling misunderstood. This moment didn't happen in isolation. It was part of a pattern. Corporate America has moved on. Back in 2020, Harry and Meghan inked lucrative contracts with Netflix, Spotify, and Penguin Random House. Fast forward to 2025, every one of those partnerships is either expired or terminated. Spotify ended their agreement in 2023, with exec Bill Simmons labeling them grifters. Netflix passed on renewing their deal, citing lackluster engagement metrics for Meghan's shelved animated show Pearl and underperforming docuseries. Penguin Random House is reportedly hesitant about funding a sequel to Spare, given its inability to maintain momentum beyond the initial buzz. Today, Harry isn't seen as a visionary or a brand builder. He's seen as a liability, and the lifeless reaction at the Upfront Summit made that crystal clear. The crowd didn't see a changemaker. They saw a fading celebrity.
Investing in companies that are developing technological solutions to address the root causes of societal challenges. Now, focusing on one core issue at its source, ultimately to solve the hundreds that stem from it. Now, this would be a great time to talk.
Adding further insult, Harry wasn't even featured as a marquee speaker. In contrast to past events where he headlined, this time he was slotted into a mid-level wellness panel, miles from the main stage. The summit's leaked internal agenda showed Harry speaking after a panel on blockchain ethics and just before a presentation on climate tech. A strange placement that made one thing obvious: he was filler, not a feature.
The fact that day-to-day life has gotten so much harder, and that as bosses, you want to offer world-class coaching to your employees. Now, the people in this room represent a sizable piece of the industry dedicated to being the first and follow-on capital to...
That alone may explain the cold reception. The audience wasn't there for Harry. He wasn't the draw. He wasn't central. He was just there. And in the world of public influence, being irrelevant is worse than being controversial.
Or the planet. That's the future that I see. Companies that are designed not just for profit, but for an investment in a better shared future. After all, if we carry on at this rate, even the most profitable companies will exist in a world of smoke and raid.
What does it all mean? This wasn't just an awkward speaking gig. It was a public verdict, a reflection of how far Harry has fallen. No longer a media sensation, no longer a countercultural voice, not even a curiosity. He arrived expecting applause. What he got was a wall of silence.
Tell me, what 5 years of living here, what do you miss the most about the UK?
Well, look, living here now for 5 years, it feels like home. Santa Barbara feels like home. Brought up both of our kids.
You might think that even a lackluster appearance from a prince would still generate headlines. But no. Coverage of the summit from TechCrunch, Bloomberg, and CNBC focused on AI innovations, sustainability efforts, and venture capital. Harry's name was either buried deep in footnotes or ignored completely. Even The Guardian, historically sympathetic to the Sussexes, offered only a brief mention. Prince Harry also spoke briefly. Audience reaction was muted. That was the full extent of their coverage. Compare that to past years when Harry and Meghan dominated news cycles. Now, not even tabloids are bothering to spin the silence into scandal. That's how far his star has fallen. Not with a crash, but with a sigh.
An Irish pub just down the road in Santa Barbara, and it's they do good bangers and mash.
And I guess
sausages and potato.
And I guess there's like this thing you guys call football that's there.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of soccer. Whoa.
Meanwhile, across the pond, the royal family remains silent. No statements, no subtle endorsements, not even a nod of acknowledgement from official palace channels. This comes just months after Harry lost his legal fight for state-funded protection in the UK. The judge ruled against him, pointing out that by stepping down from his royal duties, he gave up the privileges, including publicly funded security. It was a legal loss and a symbolic defeat. And the palace's continued silence sends a clear message. Harry's absence isn't mourned. His relevance in their eyes is gone. The numbers back it up. A YouGov poll from April 2025 shows Prince Harry's approval in the UK has dropped to just 19%. In the US, only 28% of adults aged 25 to 44, once a core base of support, view him favorably. Their reasons? Overexposure, hypocrisy, privilege masquerading as hardship. The relentless media appearances, contradictory messaging, and the apparent disconnect between their rhetoric and lifestyle have worn thin. Once admired for authenticity, Harry now represents something else entirely: entitlement and exhaustion. His speech at the Upfront Summit wasn't just a flat moment. It was a turning point, a loud public silence that marked the end of an era. And Meghan? She didn't show up. That's perhaps the most telling detail. A woman who once embraced the spotlight at red carpets, media events, and brand-building appearances skipped one of LA's biggest business summits. She wasn't on the guest list, not in the audience, not even mentioned by Harry. More importantly, the press didn't care. Her absence didn't spark curiosity. It confirmed what's already becoming clear. Their brand no longer drives interest. Not in Hollywood, not in tech. Not even among the progressive elite that once championed them. Behind the scenes, the mood is even bleaker. According to a March 2025 PR Week report, insiders from media, tech, and branding circles describe the Sussex brand as stale and radioactive. One anonymous executive from a major tech firm put it bluntly, "Partnering with them doesn't deliver reach. It brings drama, backlash, and bad ROI. Spotify dropped them, Netflix passed, Penguin Random House is cautious, and Harry is still reportedly demanding six-figure speaking fees, despite diminishing returns and muted receptions." Their Montecito estate, a $14 million sanctuary once portrayed as a peaceful haven, now feels more like a luxurious fortress. Removed, isolated, out of step with the industries they once hoped to conquer. They've laid off much of their Archewell staff. Public projects have stalled. Their impact entrepreneur rebrand has failed to materialize into anything meaningful, and their powerful allies, Oprah, Perry, the Obamas, have all gone quiet. They were once viewed as disruptors. Now they're cautionary tales, not just socially isolated, but reputationally adrift. That gorgeous Montecito mansion may have palm trees and ocean views, but in the court of public opinion, it's looking more like a mausoleum. The silence after Harry's speech wasn't just awkward, it was definitive. The media, the public, and even Meghan herself seem to have reached the same conclusion. It's over. The Sussexes aren't breaking ground anymore. They're just breaking the silence, only to be met with more of it.